Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It's lights out and away we go.
Alberto's got away beautifully at the start of the great race.
Who's that got off?
It's Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Welcome to Negative Camber, the motorsport show, brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre.
Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside.
The ultimate pit stop,
The safety car is coming in.
fueling your passion for motorsport.
With an emotional moment that means everything.
All of the latest results, analysis, and interviews.
Roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race.
I'm Jamie Lemura, motorsport enthusiast, historian, and media presenter.
And I'm Lee Harrison, motorsport professional, Sprint Master Karts race driver, and Formula One alumni.
The US Grand Prix in Circuit of Americas was held overnight. Well, when I say Grand Prix, we had the sprint race and qualifying. So partially happy times here in Ferrari land. And then the sprint race was back to business as usual, to be honest. So, but Max Verstappen won the sprint race anyway. So
followed by Lewis Hamilton, and then it was Charles Leclerc.
So yeah, that'll do. That's the top three by the time we bring up results and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, basically Max outside of a battle at the for the first 250, 300 meters between him and Charles Leclerc, it was pretty much business as usual. Lewis tried to got into second and tried to stay in Max's DRS. And after 2 or 3 laps, just couldn't keep up. Even Lewis was saying that Red Bull's pace was pretty impressive. So Mercedes had rushed a draft floor, if you want to call it, for 2024 to give themselves an idea as to whether they're on the right track for next year. So interesting to see whether you'd say they are or they're not, considering they're still not on the pace of Red Bull, but on a car that was a bitzer, let's say, from the beginning of the year. I think I think they'll be happy with getting at least 7 seconds into Max rather than 15 or 20.
Yeah, well, they've turned themselves around a little bit. They were nowhere at the start of the year, and they've come back to be consistently fighting with McLaren to be on the podium. So Lewis is still third in the championship and trying to catch Perez for second. So he gave it all he's got, but how much have Red Bull been holding back as well? When you're so dominant, you can generally turn things down and not have to push so hard. It was a lot closer in qualifying because Max was having some problems with the power delivery. So that sort of probably masked just how fast Max was going to be. And then that came out and was shown in the race. He sort of skipped away after about lap 10 or so. And again, the Ferrari was not really much of a factor in the race with the Mercedes. They were separated by 9 seconds as well. So, what have Ferrari got for the race tomorrow? Are their tyre degradation issues going to be at play? Or, are they going to turn something around? We've got Charles is starting off pole for the race after Max's lap time got deleted. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a good question, mate, to be honest. Just reading some of the Ferrari stuff overnight. Look, at the end of the day, it'll be a case of if it's dry and Max is only 6th, he's not 20th. There's no reason to suggest that given the pace that Red Bull have shown over the last couple of races and obviously yesterday, that by the halfway mark of the race, Max should be ahead and winning. Tyre degradation for the Ferrari is still a bit of a concern. I guess what Charles would want to do is get into turn 1 first and then just hold off for as long as he possibly can. So if he can finish top 3, I think that's probably about as good as a win, to be perfectly honest. I think Lewis would probably feel this is his best chance to make something and maybe jag his first win for the year, but Max is too close to the front, being only 3 rows back, to not be a massive factor and still go into this race as a favourite, such as his advantage with pace this year. So I think what will be interesting is what's Sergio Perez going to do in this race to make a meal of it. That'll be that should be the new segment. What has Sergio done this week?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I've got a funny feeling that we're going to have another Japanese Grand Prix there somewhere for some reason. So
Yeah, and he didn't do too well in the sprint either. He sort of finished fifth and not really anywhere, so he's not even close. be interesting to see what Oscar learned from the sprint race as well. Oscar started up the front and was running, right behind his teammate and then faded very fast. So hopefully he's learned a few bits and tricks for tomorrow's race, and he can have a bit better showing rather than finishing 10th.
Well, look, yeah, the soft tyres don't have a long lifespan there. I mean, Carlos Sainz was the only driver in the whole field that started on the softs in the sprint and finished probably 25 seconds back from Max in a short space of time. So, yeah, the medium and the hard compound tyres are going to be the way to go, because Circuit of Americas does have high deg, especially in the first portion of the lap through the I call it the steeplechase, but the left-right sequence after turn 2. So yeah, look, yeah, I think it'll be more or less Max first, Charles, Lewis in that kind of mix as well, there or thereabouts, give or take. So yeah, but then Vegas, I think they go to Vegas next.
Mexico
or Brazil or Mexico, yeah, and then they've got Vegas and Brazil are coming up as well. So
yes,
yeah. And again, Mexico's a Red Bull circuit, so I would, if Sergio's not at least top 2 in Mexico in front of his home crowd, you got some serious problems. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I think mix, match, do whatever you want. It'll be the same result regardless. I expect a Red Bull, at least a Red Bull 1-2 or 1-3 there in Mexico for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners.
Brace yourself for the Soddy experience at Pro Karts Race Centre, the official South Australian distributor for Soddy karts. Picture this: karting excellence meets global dominance, all on our local tracks. Soddy karts are more than machines, they're powerhouses of victory. From the heart of France to the South Australian circuit, they dominate in all categories. But that's not all. When you race with a Soddy kart, you're backed by on and off-track technical support directly connected to the factory. It's not just karting, it's the Soddy advantage. Get ready to experience world-class performance, unmatched thrill, and victory like never before. Rev up for the Soddy experience, only at Pro Karts Race Centre. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Pro Karts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Give us some around the world, mate.
Let's start with NASCAR. 2 races have been run and won as the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series winds down. Races were held on the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval and at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. At the conclusion of the race held in Charlotte, 4 more drivers were eliminated from the playoffs, leaving only 8 remaining in the hunt for the title. Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski, and Ross Chastain were the drivers who were unfortunately eliminated. It was an emotional win for AJ Allmendinger, though, as the Core League Motorsport driver passed Kyle Busch and then held off William Byron in the closing stages. The race, for the most part, wasn't a nail-biter and passing was hard to come by, but 5 cautions in the final stage did provide some fireworks, which ended with a one-on-one cat-and-mouse chase in the final laps between Allmendinger and Byron. In Las Vegas, it was Kyle Larson who became the first driver locked into the Championship 4 by virtue of his race win. It wasn't smooth sailing for Larson, though, as despite leading a race-high 133 of 267 laps, the Hendrick Motorsport driver's race almost came to a crashing end as he hit the wall and nearly spun out late in Stage 2. After falling back through the field, Larson regathered and took the lead as the field exited pit lane on the second last caution of the day. Larson then held off a late race charge by Christopher Bell and eventually crossed the line 0.082 ahead. There are another 2 races left in this round of the playoffs before the finale is held in Phoenix. And in the corresponding Xfinity race in Las Vegas, it was Riley Herbst who won that one, while there have also been no further races in the Craftsman Truck Series since I last reported on that one. World of Outlaws, there's been 4 events held in the NOS Energy World of Outlaws Sprint Car season. Races held at Port Royal Speedway, Lakeside Speedway, and the final ever 2 rounds of racing held at Devil's Bowl Speedway. Zeb Wise was a surprise winner in the event held at Port Royal, while Donny Schatz returned to winning ways in Lakeside, and Carson Macedo and David Gravel won the races at Devil's Bowl. Consistent results from Brad Sweet, David Gravel, and Carson Macedo have seen the championship remain in a bit of a status quo, with Sweet ahead by 66 points over Gravel and Macedo a further 66 points behind him. A second place result at Devil's Bowl for James McFadden has also seen him climb into the top 10 in the championship, which for him and his team means about another 70,000 American dollars in prize money. Moto2 and Moto3, 2 races have been held in the Moto2 and Moto3 championship as the riders tackled Mandalika Circuit in Indonesia and Phillip Island alongside the respective MotoGP championship races. Pedro Acosta was victorious in Moto2 in Indonesia, winning the race comfortably from Aaron Canet, while his nearest championship rival, Tony Arbolino, could only manage a 6th place. Brazilian teenager Diogo Moreira was a surprise winner in Moto3 in Indonesia as he converted pole position into a race win, leading home David Alonso by just 1/10 of a second. A wet and very windy Phillip Island greeted the riders in Moto2, and after nearly 1/3 of the field crashed out in the opening line laps, the race was red flagged and did not get restarted. The drama started almost instantly as championship leader Pedro Acosta dropped his bike on the siding lap, meaning he would have to start rear of field. When the leaders crossed the line at the end of lap 9, it was Tony Arbolino who was declared the winner, with Aaron Canet and Furman Aldegau in third. In the earlier Moto3 race, held in wet but less treacherous conditions, Dennis Onchu executed a perfectly judged last lap pass on Ayumi Sasaki to score his 3rd victory of the season. The 21-lap race boiled down to a straight fight between IOKTM rider Onchu and Sasaki, who had started from pole aboard the intact GP Husqvarna, with local hero Joel Kelso also staying in the mix until late on. Onchu took the win by just under half a second, with Sasaki in second and Kelso 4 seconds back in third. In DTM, Porsche driver Thomas Preining is the new 2023 DTM champion after his Saturday race win, and 3 bonus points for pole position in Sunday's race was enough to put him out of reach for his nearest rivals. Preining has had a near-perfect weekend in Hockenheim as he drove his Porsche to pole and victory in Saturday's race, while the best that his title rival Mirko Bortolotti could do was finish 6th. The result means that Preining has delivered Porsche their first DTM title since joining the category 2 years ago. And in F1 Academy news, Marta Garcia has taken out the first ever Formula One Academy title after holding off Abby Pulling and taking a thrilling victory in the first race held in Austin alongside the F1. F1 Academy has also announced this week that all their rounds in the 2024 season will be held as support card races to Formula One events. And that is the touchdown after another trip around the world.
Nicely done, my friend. Nicely done. Even with a hangover, you still excel. So
I try.
Speaking of excelling, the Pecco show is back, my friend. We had a slight derailment. Well, we'll give it that. But and Jorge Martin is one tough cookie to crack, but the champion has put 2 champions rides in the space of a week. And we start with the Indonesian MotoGP. Top 10 results were Pecco Bagnaia, closely followed by Maverick Vinales, Fabio Quartararo, Di Antonio in 4th, Bezzecchi in 5th, Binder 6th, Miller 7th, Bastianini 8th, Alex Rins 9th, Espargaro in rounding out the top 10, and Jorge Martin actually having a DNF in that race alongside Joan Mir, of course. Marc Marquez also having a spill as well. So that's when the title really started to swing. Another cracking ride by Pecco in the Mandalika circuit, and then we go to Phillip Island, and of course all the weather that's been going on in regards to just the extreme winds and weather that's been happening, and especially when the track is so close to Bass Strait. They held the race on the Saturday, which is actually really weird, and another cracking race as well. I think it was awesome in regards to what came about. Jorge Martin using basically the soft tyres, and he was leading quite comfortably until the last 3 or 4 laps when the field started to close on him. And Johan Zarco ended up making a bold pass at bottom of turn 3 under brakes, followed by Pecco Bagnaia, who rode a conservative race until the last 3 laps when his tyres started to come good. Fabio Di Antonio finished 3rd, Brad Binder 4th, Jorge Martin 5th, Bezzecchi 6th, Jack Miller 7th, Lecce Spargaro 8th, Alex Marquez 9th, and Enia Bastianini rounding out the top 10. With the cancellation of the sprint race earlier today, Pecco now extends his lead to 27 points.
It's only one fall. It's only one fall.
We've had those. Well, hopefully we get them out of the way. But yeah, it's a great title fight, and credit to Martin. He's made. He is probably arguably the form rider right now, and Pecco's just started to swing momentum back. But again, you're right. That's his only chink in his armor is the unforced errors, and they've crept in a little bit. They're still going to hover around if Martin's still showing that pace. He's getting some speed out of that Ducati, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. He's, like you said, been the form rider, and if not for falling off at Mandalika and ruining his race, he could still be, the championship would look very different. He'd probably still be leading the championship even. So you're right, he did take back gamble as well with the soft tyres in the Phillip Island race, and it looked like it was going to pay off until 3 or 4 laps to go, but obviously got overcome. And what a ride from Johan Zarco as well to steal the checkered flag, his first win in MotoGP. But it's such an exciting title race. Like I said, it's only one fall for Pecco, one mistake for Pecco, and Martin's back into the championship. It's one fall or one mistake from Martin, and he's out of the championship and handed it back to Bagnaia. So still a lot to play out for. At least this one's going down to the wire, not like Formula One.
Yeah, exactly. And it's high stakes. Like, it's not like, say, Pecco catching Quartararo last year with a bike that was clearly superior to the Yamaha. These guys are on equal machinery. One's the factory bike and the other one is this year's spec bike is almost equal factory level. So yeah. It's the Grassini guys which are running the GP22 bike, so and also the VR46 team as well. So and speaking of Grassini, it was official. Marc Marquez has made the switch.
Yep.
So they'll be there. He'll be there next year. Everyone's on the Marc Marquez as the GOAT train now, and my suggestion would be just wait until he rides the bike and then come to your conclusions. So,
it's a good bike. They've announced that he is going to be on the 2023 bike. So, we'll see how he goes. It's obviously proving to be a very, very good bike to ride. So, how much of a difference is it going to be for next year's bike? We don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he's got. There won't be any hiding.
Well, no. And, at the end of the day, his benchmark is Pecco and Martin, and to a lesser extent Zarco, because they're riding GP23 bikes this year. So, you can only assess on how he's going or how he will go based on what their efforts are this year. Now, granted, they're going to be on 24 spec bikes, so there are going to be some differences. But at the end of the day, I think, if he's as good enough as what they claim that he's going to be, he should be no excuse for a top 4, top 5. I mean, if DJ Antonio is getting top 3, so we'll see. But it should be a cracking end to the season, that's for sure. My heart says Pecco still, but with Martin's form at the moment, it's actually, I'd almost say line ball. I can't pick it.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's only going to be who can hold their nerves the best, and Bagnaia's got the added benefit that he's won a championship, so he's done it all before, probably in different circumstances, but he's done that before, so he's got that little advantage over Martin, but all still to play for. It's going to go right down to the wire, and I don't know if it's going to be decided before we get to Valencia for the final round.
Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners.
Time to discover more than just a track. It's time to find your racing family at Pro Karts Race Centre. We're more than a racing facility. We're a community of enthusiasts bound by our shared love for motorsport. What sets us apart? Our commitment to inclusivity. We're breaking barriers, welcoming rookies and pros alike to experience the thrill of racing. With our low investment pathways into karting, we're paving the way for the next generation of racers. Whether you're a seasoned racer seeking camaraderie or a beginner eager to learn, Pro Karts Race Centre is your home. Join our vibrant community, feel the passion and share the rush of victory with friends who share your passion. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Prokarts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Mailbag. Did you get anything? I did.
You did?
I did.
No, yes. I haven't had any questions this week. Not to me.
I had another anonymous person and say, hey, Jamie, can you please ask Lee what was the worst crash he's ever had?
Oof. It's a good question.
Does the photo of Barossa where you're going face first into someone else count?
That was probably not the worst crash that I've ever had.
Not a bad one.
It was a pretty funny crash. There was the crash in Junior Racer when we were racing Bolivar, but going reverse direction, and Matt Hall wiped all of us out in the first corner. So there was, 5 of us in the race, and all 5 of us ended up in the gravel trap in turn 1. That was pretty funny crash as well, but probably not the worst crash that I've been in. I think we were racing reverse direction at Bolivar as well, and I got shunted going into Wakefield, and the runoff was not very big, and I went into the tyre wall pretty hard there, and left in an ambulance on that day. That was a big one.
Broken ribs or anything, or
nah, just I said I had a sore neck when I got attended to because of whiplash and whatever, so nothing too major. But then another one, we were racing Junior Racer again. They all seemed to be racing reverse direction at Bolivar, but a lap driver didn't see me. We were on the track with Junior National Heavy or something, and they let the leader go through, and I was closely behind in second, and they cut straight across in front of me, and I was airborne for a long way, and nearly landed on the in-grid shed. Managed to make it to the tyre wall instead. So there's been a few, but none really stick out as the worst one.
Yeah, interesting. Myself, if I had to answer that question, I've had one major crash in karting, but I've had worse, but it's not actually karting related. So from karting perspective, it was the start of the Ultimate Club Driver at Tailem Bend, where someone spun in front of Dave Rinaldi going down the start-finish line. Tim and Dave Rinaldi spun immediately in front of Tim, who had to then lock his rears and spin to avoid hitting Dave head on. Tim spun, and as sort of momentum has kind of started to see him roll across the track, and I've come swerved to avoid Tim. My right rear's collected Tim's rear and bent the axle to a 30-degree angle, and I've spun off and hit the pit straight wall. So in front of the likes of Michael Petrucci and all that sort of stuff. So that was good fun. And that was my first major crash I've had in racing. But I actually got hit by a car when I was training on a bike, going down Glenburn Road near the men's chocolate factory. So I was doing 55k down Glenburn Road, because it's a false sort of gradual downhill. And a lady in a car had actually overtaken me and then turned directly in front of me where Gelato Bello and the red men's chocolate factory is. And so I've hit the front of her side of her car, so the front fender. I've actually flown over the bonnet, and I've landed on the other side of the road. And the bike sustained a lot of the impact. The helmet cracked, so the helmet saved my head. And I walked away with grazing on my knee and my shoulder, and actually later found out that I did my disc. So hence why the Pilates and the physio and stuff like that every Tuesday ever since, just to keep my back mobile and agile. So I don't know how else I got away with it, to be honest with you, man. I was a lucky boy, because there was no oncoming cars coming down the side street or whatever too. But I still remember it, actually, even the impact and everything else. And she's screaming as I'm flying over the bonnet. But I was a lucky boy that day.
Very lucky.
Yeah, I wasn't meant to go. I was meant to do this with you. How lucky. So yeah, I'm even wearing my little smiley t-shirt too, just as a good luck charm there as well. But
and how lucky I am.
Yeah, I know. So but keep them coming, folks. Keep the questions coming through. Make them little curlers. Ask them things about Lee's career in terms of racing, maybe even overseas. The question I've actually got to ask you about overseas shortly. But it could be anything. Nothing's off limits. Feel free to ask. Email the team at podcast@negativecamber.co. Send us an inbox, even in Lee's personal Facebook or my personal Facebook, or even the Facebook page for the show itself. So there's no such thing as a dumb question because you never know what answer you could get. So overseas, Las Vegas. Yeah, been catching up with your friends over in America. Anyone that's done the work from Miami and crossed over to Las Vegas and got any inside goss on what's happening over there at all?
No, I actually haven't spoken to the team in Miami for a little while. No one has really gone over to help out at Vegas. But yeah, no, it's been a little bit quiet on their side of things. Not much happening in Miami and Vegas. Miami and the football season's starting, so now it's just about track preservation before the race again for next year.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what Las Vegas is like. I think it falls in the middle of prime time Australia, isn't it? Sort of in the middle of Sunday afternoon for us.
Yes, yeah. I think it's not much different than the time that the Texas race is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's
early morning.
Yeah. Okay. Should be a cracking race. Looking forward to that. But yeah, I think we are done and dusted for this week, mate. I'll leave you off the hook this time because I feel sorry for your sore head.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We'll just like a quick mention that we are going to have some merch coming out very, very soon. The design is finalized for that, and the merch store is being populated as we speak. So keep an eye out for the socials on that one, popping very, very soon, sometime this week. And we may even have some prizes up for grabs for best mailbag question, or every question that you send gets you an entry into a prize pack or a prize draw at the end of our season this year. So get your questions in and put your name to them, and we'll do a big draw at the end of the year with everyone's name. If you ask more than one question, your name goes in a couple of times. So if you want to win a Negative Camber t-shirt or jumper or something, get those questions in.
There's some good stuff on the merch pack. Looking through the stuff that we've got, there's mugs, there's key rings, there's jumpers, there's t-shirts. I think there's some baby clothing too, if I remember correctly.
Socks.
So I can see little Dulcie now running around in a little Negative Camber jumpsuit. Simon Reichhoff, don't get one, then you're a naughty boy. But there's something for everyone from what we've seen so far. So looking forward to that being launched later on this week. But mate, rest up, rest your head. Fair effort to back it up after how many? Can I ask how many bottles of wine did you go through?
Don't know. Lost count.
Oh god. Well,
it wasn't why we were mixing drinks. Like it started with gins, then went to wines, then I was having whiskeys, and then back to gins. It was just a messy circumstance, really.
Oh well, how many weddings do you go like that now these days? Really, where you can
really
get that messy.
Exactly.
And when you're staying on site, why not do it while you can?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, brother. Good to catch up. I will probably see you at the racetrack later on this week, and where you have a title to defend, and I've just got to make sure we finish. So, we'll catch you all in hopefully a fortnight's time, maybe even 3 weeks, depending whether you're doing Ultimate Club Driver or not. So. But there will be pods coming through, probably some historical interviews that we've done, like we've been re-releasing previously. So plenty of content to listen to, but feel free to reach out to us or jump onto our Facebook page, our website, negativecamber.co. Look out for our merch that will be coming out later on this week, and we will see you at a racetrack soon.
You've reached the checkered flag of another episode of Negative Camber the Motorsport Show, proudly brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre. A huge thank you to you, our incredible listeners. Your support and passion for motorsports fuels our enthusiasm to bring you the latest results, analysis, and interviews from the racing world. Keep that FOMO at bay by subscribing to Negative Camber on your favourite podcast platform. We'd also love it if you could leave us a review and share the show with your fellow racing enthusiasts. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, Negative Camber is more than just a podcast. We're a community of dedicated fans who live and breathe motorsports. Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners. Until next time, stay fueled with passion embrace the negative camber, and keep chasing those podium finishes.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.